Ladies and gentlemen, corporate sponsors, and members of the Space Force Association, thanks for joining us today. My name is Matt Anderson. I'm the Director of Outreach at the Space Force Association. And today we're here with the 21st Superintendent of the United States Air Force Academy, Lieutenant General Rich Clark. Sir, thanks for joining us today.
Matt, thanks for having me. It's great to be here with you.
All right, as we approach the one-year birthday of the Space Force, it's fantastic to be here at the Air Force Academy where so much of that culture was born. And as we think about what goes into the actual Space Force, so much of it here with the cadets is steeped in a STEM academic background. And we're here in front of one of the icons at the Air Force Academy, the planetarium and the STEM Center. Would you mind telling us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. This is one of our crown jewels, as you know. And when I was a cadet back in 1986, I got here in 82, class of 86. But the planetarium was open, and we spent time here. But I have to tell you, it was a little bit run down even then. It was built in 1959, and it was approaching some of its last legs. But fortunately, we had some great donors, led by the class of 1970, the Martinsons, other donors like the Bruneys, the class of 1985, class of 1997, really helped us to bring it back to really a crown jewel for us. And we've opened it up to our public. And as you know, Colorado Springs is a huge, huge space community, and we're very proud to be a part of that. But we've had 45,000 people since it's been reopened. We opened it back up in 2019, and it's just been a huge hit for not only our cadets, but our community writ large. So we're very proud of it. It is a symbol of what we think about our part in our space growth here in the community, but really for our Space Force and our Air Force and our involvement in space. So very excited about it, and I look forward to showing it to you.
All right, let's go check it out.
All right, let's do it. Pretty awesome, huh?
Yeah, this is incredible. I like what you said when we were outside, how you had actual memories when you were a cadet here. And now that I walk in here, I get a little memory as well. But yeah, this is fantastic. I think that while the Space Force, as we approach this year, a lot of people are thinking about flying satellites and operating satellites and the new U.S. Space Command and all that excitement. But so often the face of space, no matter if it's commercial or military, it's our astronauts.
Right, right.
And I know this place, the Air Force Academy, has a culture, decades of involving in the space business, and I know you're really proud of much of the work the astronauts have been doing recently. And I just want to say, can you tell us a little bit about the recent astronauts and graduates from the Air Force Academy?
Well, you know, the Air Force Academy is a place where dreams come true, right? We've had 42 astronauts who are grads from our institution, and we are so proud of them. Raja Shari, he was class of 1999. Jel Lindgren, he's class of 1995. Both of those guys are prospects for the Artemis mission. They're on the team right now. They are astronauts. There's a good chance that one of those guys will be the first Air Force Academy grad to walk on the moon.
Wow.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. But I got to tell you, we have so many people who come here with a variety of dreams. I mean, there's everything under the sun is available here at the Air Force Academy. And when you think about people who come here and make those dreams come true and walk on the moon or go to space or maybe walk on or land on Mars, who knows what'll happen. This is a place where things like that happen, and we're so proud of those guys. We look at someone like Nick Hague, one of our Jabara Award winners. That's the Academy grad who had an amazing performance in an aerospace event. He was on a Soyuz mission and actually had an emergency happen on that mission during launch. And due to his cool, calm recovery of that mission, we recognized him as our Jabara Award winner. So he's a hero for our entire school. So I tell you, Matt, it is amazing to think about the kinds of people that graduate from here and the things that they do. We're so proud of our astronauts.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Colonel Nick Hague, class of 1998, what a legend. We're proud of him as a member of the Space Force Association as well. He's in constant contact with your dean. They were study partners together in the Astro Department when they were here. And what a phenomenal thing for this institution, for Nick personally. And, you know, as we as we think about people applying to the Air Force Academy, so often they write in their essays, I saw the Thunderbirds, so that means I want to be a pilot. Well, thankfully we have guys like Nick who are actually on the International Space Station, and we're so lucky to see a video today here in the planetarium from Nick talking to those kids where he sat and his dream began. Let's take a look.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Nick Hague, Air Force Colonel, NASA astronaut, and Air Force Academy grad, aboard the International Space Station. I'm thrilled for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about my journey and the out-of-this-world work we do on the space station. Work we've been conducting for more than 20 years. When I was in elementary school, I sat right where you are in this planetarium. I remember it like it was yesterday. Stunning images of the universe and Earth sparked my imagination and inspired me to chase my dream to fly among the stars. My journey started right outside these doors, in the classrooms and laboratories of the United States Air Force Academy. The journey has not been easy, but worthwhile pursuits rarely are. It took lots of hard work and commitment, and it all started with a great education here at USAFA.
All right, General, thanks. What an incredible video from Nick Hague. And, you know, the astronauts are always going to get the glory, but, you know, today's Space Force is really about warfighting. And that's been some language that the United States normal American citizen doesn't quite understand. Say, this is a warfighting domain. So as we talk about land as a warfighting domain with the Army and the air as a warfighting domain with the Air Force, and now we're talking about space as a warfighting domain, it's important to talk about what that really means. And I know your background as a B-1 squadron commander, and even the patch right there on your arm that says I'm a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Weapons School. And for those that don't know what that is, if you think back to that movie in the 80s when they say, I'm a Top Gun graduate or I'm a Top Gun pilot, that is a 6-month course that everyone goes to that wears that patch. And when you walk into a room, you might have earned it when you were a captain, but you still wear it when you're a 3-star general. So when you talk to these cadets that want to go into the Space Force, and I know you've got some stories throughout your career, can you tell me about some of that?
Absolutely, Matt. You know, and sometimes for space, it's almost like air. You don't know that you don't have that capability until it's gone. We use space in everything that we do, and we have for decades now. And I think back to my time as a B-1 pilot, and especially as a squadron commander in combat. All of our communications, our command and control relied heavily on space, but even more directly, our precision-guided weapons, GPS-guided weapons. Without space, those weapons aren't hitting the target. And something that we always say in the bomber world, no comms, no bombs. And space provided the comms. So it touched us there. I think about my time at 3rd Air Force in Europe as the numbered Air Force commander. There was one mission, I think everyone could remember the operation where we had to strike the chemical facility in Syria. We worked with the United Kingdom, we worked with France and us on that. And without getting into too many details, before we did that strike, we had to make sure that our space assets were in place and ready to go before that operation had any chance of success. And I think about my last job at the Pentagon. I was in charge of the air staff's work with strategic deterrence and nuclear integration. And all of our nuclear weapons, whether you're talking about our submarine launched ballistic missiles, whether you're talking about our ICBMs, our intercontinental ballistic missiles, or our bomber force, it all came together. The glue that held it together was our nuclear command and control and communications. And that all emanates from space. So you can talk about the entire spectrum of conflict, and space touches it all. And without that command and control that it offers, we're starting from ground zero, and we're back in the Stone Age, basically. So space is vital to everything that we do in the military.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And without a doubt, that is why the United States stood up, not only United States Space Force, but U.S. Space Command. And so we now have a warfighting geographic combatant command, which actually surprises a lot of people. It is similar to a Central Command or a Pacific Command. It's a geographic combatant command. And no doubt a year ago when the Space Force was formed with the stroke of a pen, General Raymond, your 4-star boss from the space side of the house, he really thought he was going to have 18 months to stand up this new Space Force. But it said in the language of the NDAA, no, it's effective immediately.
Right now.
And right away, General Raymond found himself as the only member of the Space Force.
That's right.
But just a few months later, 86 cadets graduated from this awesome institution, and they followed General Raymond as the first officers into the Space Force, and that was incredible. However, for you, that means I've got two bosses now. For decades, the superintendent of the Air Force Academy, it was very simple. Chief of Staff of the Air Force was my boss, but now you have two. And recently, General Raymond said that, he expects every member of the Space Force to speak a second language. So everybody was, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Here at the Air Force Academy, we teach Russian, Spanish, French, Chinese, and we got that covered. But then he followed that comment up and he said, and that language will be digital.
Yes.
Can you tell us your thoughts on what you think he meant by that and what you're doing here at the Air Force Academy to meet that intent?
Well, I think even from our roots in the Air Force, our Air Force is transitioning from an analog Air Force to a digital Air Force. And so it makes sense that General Raymond says, we're going to start as a digital Space Force. And we're going to move into the information age from the very beginning of this newest service that our country has. And to me, what that means is that we have an ability to transfer data or to move data at the speed of war. We can get it from sensor to shooter as necessary, when we need it, where we need it, how we need it, to the right person or the right element or the right unit whenever we need to have it there. And that allows our OODA loop, if you remember that, our decision cycle to turn faster than our adversaries. And if we can move that data and manage it in such a way that we can outthink our adversaries faster and be smarter with where we get the information, we're going to come out ahead every time. But space is key and critical to that. To be able to move that information anywhere in the world at the speed of war is going to be critical to us, and space is going to make it happen for us. So when General Raymond says we're going to speak digital, he means we're going to be able to translate, to move, to get that digital information wherever we need it, and our users will be able to manipulate it and use it to their advantage every time, anytime.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He's even said recently what keeps him up at night. And it's that speed that you're talking about. If you don't have that speed in this new domain especially, then you're going to lose. You got to be fast. You got to be lean. You got to be agile. You got to be fast. And I think one of the fantastic programs you've got going on here is the Institute of Future Conflict. I know it's an effort you're working on right now, and a lot of people they don't like to talk about conflict and space. But really, if we want to enjoy the things that we're used to in the United States, go fill up your gas and pay at the pump. Don't have to walk inside. Do you want to use your ATM card? Do you like using your watch when you go on a run to set your pace, or GPS on your phone? Those are all the things we're used to using day in and day out. And like you said, when it goes away, then we understand why we need space. But can you tell us about what you're working on here with your entire staff on the Institute of Future Conflict? Absolutely.
And the things that you talk about are things that our cadets need to be thinking about right now. They need to understand what the future is going to look like. And when I talk about the future, I'm not talking about 5 years, I'm talking about 25 years. They need to be thinking about how they will solve problems that they don't even know about yet. They have to be thinking about not so much the knowledge, but the skill set of being creative, of being innovative, of being risk takers, of being bold, so that when they're confronted with problems that our adversaries might present to us, that they have the skill set to work through that and to help our country continue to have the advantage on the global stage. And a lot of that you can read in the National Defense Strategy when we talk about great power competition. It's about our near-peer adversaries trying to outthink us, trying to have the advantage of us in every domain. But what our cadets have to be able to do is think ahead of that. And it's not just an intellectual activity, it's about leadership. It's about the physical domain. It's about everything that a cadet is and everything that we hope an officer to be, so that they'll be prepared in 25 years to compete, to lead our world, our country in the world stage, so that they'll be ready to fight whatever conflict we have. But it's not only in conflict, but it's also below the level of conflict. They need to be able to give our country the advantage at every opportunity. So the Institute of Future Conflict will help them to be able to think ahead and to have the skill sets to solve the kinds of challenges that they'll be confronted with.
It's great. The physical domain that you talked about has been when you only had to think about aviators and the air-mindedness, and we have the airfield here at the Air Force Academy. It's got gliders taking off, powered flight, cadets are jumping out of aircraft, and in all of those, it's that leadership. It's cadets teaching cadets. But now, how do you understand the physical domain of space when you physically cannot be there? It's very easy in an airplane, and one of the things you've asked us in the Space Force Association to help you think through is, I need that airfield equivalent here on the Air Force Academy so we can prepare those future leaders of the Space Force. What's on your mind there? What kind of technology are you thinking about? What is that airfield equivalent in the space domain?
Well, right now, as you know, Matt, I mean, our cadets are already developing what I'll call the space warfighter mindset, right? They're understanding how we operate in space, and they're understanding what that domain is really all about. We're launching satellites. We have a major for space. We have a minor of space operations. We have education programs across the board and different programs that they can be involved in. But like you sort of drew an equivalent of air-mindedness and airmanship because of the things that we do here. We need to do those same kind of things to continue to develop that space warfighting mindset. So I think things like maybe an ops center here at the Air Force Academy, where our cadets can go to understand what really the operational arm of the Space Force does, and how they can think about that, so that when they're thinking about that future, they're already ahead of the game when they get into the operational Space Force or Air Force. So we're very excited about the potential and where we may go, but it really is about building that mindset that they think that space is not a thing that is foreign or a thing that's unnatural. It's a natural place for them to operate and a natural thing for them to be thinking about. We want them to have that mindset.
That's fantastic. I know the Space Force itself is developing virtual reality laboratories, simulators, just like aircraft simulators, to put their members, to those space professionals, to see the depth of space, the breadth of space, because it's really different. And when your adversary does A, do you do B, C, or D? And just to show what all those ramifications mean. And the Space Force Association individual members and our corporate sponsors are really looking forward to help think through those things so that we can prepare your graduates. And General Raitman said just today, he expects, we had 86 last year, 98 cadets are going to graduate from this awesome institution. This May, hopefully, not spring again because of COVID like this past year, but we look forward to that. We look forward to continue supporting you and your mission here at the Air Force Academy. And General, just wanted to, on the eve of the Space Force's first birthday, thank you so much for what you and your team are doing here at the Academy. Any last thoughts for our audience?
I'll just say there is such excitement here at USAFA because we are the Space Force's Academy. And I want to make no mistake about that. And our cadets are excited to be a part of it. Whether they're going to go into the Space Force or the Air Force, the space domain is vital and critical for us, and it's important for us all to understand. But I'm excited about the future of this. I'm excited about the leadership. I appreciate what the Space Force Association is doing for our country, for our academy, and I look forward to working with you, with the entire team, and moving us into the future. So thanks for spending some time with us today.
Absolutely, General. So on behalf of General Clark and the entire Air Force Academy, Semper Supra, and happy first birthday to the Space Force.